This is Switched On.
Hello and welcome back to the Switched On podcast. This is your host, Akshay Koti Bhaskar, and for those of you who are new, this podcast is dedicated to those who find themselves struggling with the ominous task of choosing a career. Regardless of whether you are one of those people or not, and if you would like to ease the process of figuring out what career is truly right for you, or if you would like to simply gain a more knowledgeable and informed perspective, look no further. Every session we present a different job from a different sector and explore exactly what each job entails, as well as the required interests to work in the field. Today we have a very special guest, Ms. Sarika Aidasani. Ms. Aidasani is a senior PR director who freelances at the moment with agencies such as Impact Porter Novelli, APCO, and many more on her resume. With over 21 years of experience in the communications industry, Sarika has worked in the region for over 17 years. Having started her PR career in the UK, she has had a diverse journey working across different industries and clients, and thus brings with her a vast knowledge of diverse communication environments. Sarika's experience spreads across corporate, public affairs, consumer, tech, education, healthcare, and finance. With most of her clients, her role is to project manage the communications with internal and external stakeholders, while ensuring smooth execution of PR tactics. Known for her confidence, talent, and flexibility, she is specifically skilled at networking, planning, and organizing complex and challenging projects, often under pressure. Educated at the Manchester Metropolitan University and the Sydenham College of Commerce and Economics, she attained her Bachelor of Commerce degree, which she passed by first class, before completing her dissertation in the banking sector of the UAE, where she examined the relationship between marketing and PR in the aforementioned sector. As a public relations consultant, she is responsible for the development and execution of PR campaigns, organizing events, and essentially handling the general public image of a subject. While the traditional purpose of PR is to make the public aware of news relating to a client, their service, product, or a topic, the landscape, scope, and its outreach has changed dynamically to adapt to the current times. PR in a nutshell is for someone who can be calm during the day-to-day storm, and someone who is great at organization skills, logical reasoning, planning, strategic and creative thinking. In fact, you may have heard the saying, it's not PR, it's ER. Hence, while it is exciting, fun, and fast-paced, when you are faced with a crisis, the challenges can shake up the strongest. Welcome, Ms. Aidasani, and thank you very much for being here today on this podcast. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
Likewise, thank you for having me on the show.
No worries. Firstly, madam, I think the listeners are probably most curious as to why you do what you do. How did you initially become interested in this field of profession?
This is a long story and my journey has been long and winding, but to put it in a nutshell, I actually resisted for, I would say, the first 20 years of my life to do PR or anything to do with communication.
Wow.
Since I was little, I think I was just outspoken and I would be able to convince people to listen to me, whether it was my mom, dad, aunts, uncles, and everyone said you should go into marketing because 30 odd years back, marketing was the profession. There was nothing like PR. Nobody knew, it was a branch off. And then people would tell me, get into sales. And, I don't know. I think I was just a rebel. If you tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it. And
I think that identifies with a lot of kids nowadays.
A lot of them, yeah. And I get it. Like, I don't want to do something you've told me to do. I'm going to discover myself. I'm going to become this person that I don't even know, I want to become. So I did. I think by the time I reached, so I have studied in Abu Dhabi and I've studied in the Indian curriculum.
Okay.
And in that, you have to take the decision of what you want to do subject-wise in your academics. Like, they have three broad areas, which is science, arts, and commerce, which is the numbers, accountancy, economics. And I knew I wasn't a sciencey person, and arts was at that time not my interest. So I didn't know any better, and I went into commerce, and that's what I did, a business degree. But even before I did my business degree, now I just said that I didn't want to do science, but somehow I landed up becoming a pilot. And I did
So
so I said I want to be a pilot because it was all glamour. Anything that was glamorous is what I wanted to do. Not knowing that actually PR can also be glamorous. So you see that there was that attraction was always there. And I thought, oh, I'll be flying, I'll be talking on the, this is your captain speaking. That's what I would be doing, just talking. But you don't. You don't do that. You only tell them when you're landing, when you're taking off. It's not glamorous. And I studied flying here in Dubai at Emirates Flying School. We were taught in caravan rooms, like they were just rooms on wheels. And it was all male. It was very intimidating because they had not seen a girl. It was...
That's not good.
No, and it was not seen a girl who was studying. And I was 18. So I was very young, and those men were very focused, and they already had a flying license. They were in Dubai to get the Dubai flying license. And here I am, being driven down every day from Abu Dhabi to do this course for 4 or 5 hours a day and then driving back. So there was a lot of, I think those men...
Was there any adversity there?
There was, I can't say so much, but
Okay.
Also their thinking was very different. Those men wanted to make a living out of it, and they were coming from not necessarily privileged background. I mean, facts are that to want to become a pilot, it's expensive. So they probably did Indian Army pilot or wherever they were from. So that's kind of, a low cost route to do it, but it takes longer. Whereas my dad supported me through it. So I started with that. I got my private pilot license with great difficulty.
It must be difficult.
It was emotionally difficult to be in a class full of men who thought that I was just there for fun, which I wasn't. So I think that just demotivated me. And also somewhere I found out that I do like to talk. I can go on and on and on. And that wasn't happening. It wasn't giving me that satisfaction. And I don't mean to demean it, but it's just flying a vehicle. It's like I just learned how to do something. I know how it sounds, but I just needed to know which part did what, keep a few checks in mind, and take off and land. And because it was a smaller plane, so it's like the first time you ride a tricycle. Maybe I was at that level. Let's just put it. So it's it didn't feel like a big deal.
Okay.
It does to everyone else because it's so unknown. That's why. But so I did that. Then I did a teaching course, Montessori, because I thought, I'll open my own nursery. I do like children. Maybe I'll do that. And that also didn't work out because by the end of
How long did you do that for?
1 year. Because the courses are 1 year long. And didn't work out. And I was doing simultaneously my bachelor's degree. And then I realized what I did is I evaluated my skills. I did this very late in life, at 21, I think, or just at 20. That I had great organization skills. I had great communication skills. I had good management skills, which is one of my top skills till today. Why? And none of the things that I have tried to do academically are giving me the satisfaction of using these skills, which is when I decided to go into, so the twist is still to come, decided to go into events. Because I could organize any event, a corporate event, a personal event, as in parties or whatever, or like corporate networking events, anything I could do. And I started that very early in life. And that I would just do because of the network that I had. And then I decided I want to do my master's in event management. There are very few universities in the world
that offer
that, and they're in the US.
It's a very specific.
Very specific. And they were in the US, and I come from a traditional conservative Indian family, and my dad didn't want me to go that far away because the time difference and the flight, we're talking about things about 20 odd years back. They weren't as frequent. He just said, whatever you want to do, you can do in England. That's the furthest you're going to go. And then I found an event management module in a PR course. And that's
so you basically struck it by a complete accident.
And that's how I did my master's in PR, which did help a little bit. A degree on paper does help, get your foot in the door. But that's how I got into PR, and I haven't looked back.
That's actually incredible.
Yeah, I told you, it's a long winding journey.
You bounced around in many different
everywhere
areas,
because I just resisted it, because I was just being a normal child, teenager, don't want to do what others tell me to do.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about yourself? So, your interests, skills, and what do you like to do outside of work?
I think an innate skill of mine is management. So I extend that to my personal life as well, in terms of managing not just my family. I'm like an executive assistant at home. It's a glamorous term, but I'm mom. So, you know, anything. And it's not just my family, my friends, whatever they want done, coordination, this all just comes very naturally to me. So that's the transferable skill which goes from home to work. Other than that, I love to dance. I absolutely love to dance. It's a stress buster. And I think more than that, it has to do everything with wellness and travel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so those would be the things that I really enjoy.
Cool. Can you provide a brief overview of the role you play within an organization or agency when you join them? And what are the main responsibilities and tasks you handle on a daily basis?
So, one thing I do need to tell you is that I work now as a freelancer.
Okay.
So I don't work full time. What that means is that I don't work with a company for very long. Yeah. And also I try to work lesser hours than a full time, and it's a personal choice. It started off being a choice to manage the family, but now I do it for my own mental, emotional health, you know. It works for me. It allows me to do a lot of different things. So
probably takes the pressure off a bit as well.
It takes the pressure off, and honestly, I need to have that time. To myself. So I work part-time, or rather I freelance because I need to have that time to myself to recharge. That's a whole different topic on itself, but I still love what I do, so I can't not do it.
Right.
And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad is an entrepreneur. My husband has his own well-established business, or rather businesses. And while I dip in and out of those in terms of support for communications or overseeing things, it's not something I can do full-time. I have been in the corporate world far too long, or rather the agency world far too long, and it just comes to me naturally. And on a day-to-day, if I'm, let's say, brought onto a project, I'm told what are the client needs. I'm given a team. I then organize the work within the team. I see what are the skill sets they have, what I can bring to the table, and then it's really just day-to-day. How are we serving the client? Are we providing the right counsel, the right strategic counsel? Are our tactics that we tell them we'll do, are they getting us the right results? And a lot of people management.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of young 20-year-olds that I'm working with who've just graduated. So they are so enthusiastic, so driven. It's amazing. But sometimes you need to manage them as well.
You have to rein them in, I guess?
No, actually they're motivated, most of them, if they come for work. But what doesn't work is that, you know, and there are a lot of, there are a lot of articles, there is a lot of studies around saying that, let's say, the 20-year-olds, they're part of this privileged generation, right? You haven't, like I had to struggle, let's say, and I'm sure your family, your parents would say the same, that they had to struggle, they had nothing, and then they made something.
Classic speech.
But that's not the case with most people. There are still people who don't have those opportunities, but let's just talk about...
It's become a lot easier.
It has, because you have the right education. Like I said,
you have access to a lot more things.
The education that I had in school did not help me anywhere. So it changes everything. I mean, you're what, 15? Yeah, and you're doing a podcast, and that's amazing. I couldn't even think of talking to someone, without permission from someone else. I mean, so times have changed, lives have changed. So it's more about trying to tell them that not every day is ever a good day. And sometimes the bad days last a week, 2 weeks, a month, but then it'll get better. So it's about hanging in there. more about that. Just wait, it'll come, because it's not easy. You got to build a strong foundation.
Sure.
And you have to fall and make mistakes, and then you go up.
Speaking of mistakes, what are the biggest challenges you face in your role, such as the persistent pressure, and how do you usually overcome them?
Oh God, I'm sure you've heard this, or I've said this way too many times. Whenever someone asks me, so what's PR like? And I'm like, it's not PR, it's ER. You know, it is absolute madness. Everything is now. The clients always, it's just, till now, communications, only in a few companies or with a few clients, it is a strategic business function.
Right.
What that means is that it is like accountancy, it is like purchase or sales, which are part of the business functions of business objectives. Whereas communications becomes a support function for all of these business functions. Yeah. So there is that gap that still needs to be bridged, I think. So I think that is the biggest challenge that any communications professional would, I'm sure, any communication professional would agree with me, because when you're a support function, then you're driven by the business, and the business has to sometimes make sudden and immediate decisions, which the communications has to adapt to.
Sure, yeah.
So if you think of it, that's the worst part of the pressure. Then there's the crisis part, that whenever something has gone wrong, we're the first people who are called, whether it's 5:30 a.m. or whatever time of the day, because we need to prepare things and get our client ready. So that's the kind of pressure. And you do specialize eventually, probably, in the type of PR you do, but you start off doing everything from a consumer PR to financial, fintech, to corporate, to fashion, or even talent management, being a publicist or anything. So you start with everything till you reach that level. So that is also tough, sometimes coping with multiple industries and clients.
Would you say that the hours are very flexible then? Or
no,
probably not.
You work 12 to 13 hours. Anybody who's starting off would be working, depending on how driven they are, they'd be working at least 8 to 9 hours minimum. But a year into the profession, you're working about 11, 12 hours a day, which is why probably now you understand that
you definitely need
choose
to freelance.
I need to freelance.
So would you say that even 30 years down the line, would you still end up working 11, 12 hours a day?
No, not me.
No, but you freelance,
but,
right?
But someone else, at least 10. The higher you go, the more you work, the more you have to network.
Sure.
It doesn't stop. So it may not just be the work on the table, on your desk, in the office, but the work continues, because you then probably are some sort of a leader in what you do.
Have more responsibilities.
More power brings more responsibilities.
Right. How do you strike a balance between your personal life and career? I mean, you mentioned you're freelancing.
I think that would be the answer to that.
Probably
that is how I do it.
Okay. And are there any particular aspects of your job that you find especially rewarding or fulfilling?
Oh, client appreciation, to be honest. Money, yes, of course, but client appreciation. I think I'm one of those types who just needs a nice email from the client saying that it was great work, or just my work is recognized even by the agency. I'm one of those. Money will come second. Maybe that's why I love what I do.
That's quite valuable to have.
It's just a nice, I think, if you don't love what you do, you're not going to do it for that long, and then you won't make money in it eventually.
Can you describe any common misconceptions or myths about your job or industry that students may have, and perhaps debunk any?
Yeah, I think one of the main ones, and the big one, is that people think that from the day they join, they're going to lead and create campaigns, and they're going to be in front of the client presenting slides and all of that. But you kind of start off at the bottom. And one of the biggest things in our industry is reports and presentations and research.
Okay.
Reports is very important. Without a good report, you're not going to be able to tell how you've done. And that's just like in school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You need the report to know where you did wrong so that you can advise. I mean, we can. For you, it's a different situation. But for someone like me, I could advise my client what they need to do next to do better, or what they shouldn't do anymore at all. So reporting is a big part. It is handled more at the junior level, but a senior person cannot take a decision without a report. So it is sort of the backbone. Then research, strong research. So these are the boring things that we all have to do. But I mean, you don't get to present from day one. But eventually, yes, you will. So I would say just that students should remember that no matter what, you need to build a strong foundation. So if you don't understand how the reports are done, the day you become that senior professional,
you're going to struggle.
You're going to struggle, and you will not know how to guide the juniors in how you want the report and why you want and what should be reported back. So that's what it is.
For students wishing to apply for a job in your industry, what would you recommend as the degree they should aspire to attain? And what would you like to say to students who are considering a career similar to yours?
According to my personal experience, I would say that you need to know how to write very well. So a literature or a language degree or some sort of a specialist course in writing is an absolute must. Because PR, while it's a specialist profession, I personally think you can learn a lot on the job as well. But if you don't have writing skills, then you need to learn it. And PR is subjective, again, to the country that you do it in. If we're in the UAE, we speak English widely. But if I was bilingual, my market value would be higher, and I would also be very well, it's just very important here. If you're in England, then you need to speak English and write English. So I think writing becomes the bottom, like the most important skill. Like you must have that. Any kind of, I'm not sure if marketing degree would work. It gives you an overview, but there are a lot of specialist PR degrees now. So maybe go for it, just because what is education? It's basically looking at old case studies, learning from them. What would you do different? Do the project work. So I think a specialist PR degree or some kind of course would be important. I am a big one for somebody who's done any strategic management course, because that's when you will contribute and you'll be a proper consultant. Again, you don't just become consultants from day one, but you can. If you've done a consultancy degree and you have a keen interest in communications, then you can join companies like McKinsey and all of those, and you can be with them on the communication side. You can be a communication consultant with them who go to businesses. So there are three routes to being in PR. One is with the client itself, second is with the agency, third is with the consulting firms. But that is a very difficult one to get in.
Is it like highly competitive then?
I think they take from certain universities, and you need to do strategic management courses for that. So I would think that you do strategic management course first, go into consult, and then maybe do comms, or you do comms first and then you go in, depending on how academic you are. So I think that would be
with the increasing emphasis on sustainability and social responsibility, how is the sector adapting, and what impact does it have on career choices and opportunities?
I'm so glad you asked about it, because organizations, whether they're SMEs, small medium enterprises, or they're large corporate, sustainability and social responsibility has become one of their biggest communication pillars. So what happens is that companies, they're like, we're going to communicate. Let's say we're a brand that sells toothpaste. So we are going to communicate that we sell the best toothpaste, it's well priced, it is suitable for all ages. And then we're going to go into it's cruelty free, so social responsibility. We use underprivileged women to make it, or something like that, social responsibility again. We're using our packaging is sustainable. We will give the option to people to return back the empty tubes. So you see, they will always, a sustainable and a social responsibility will be one of the pillars, along with product, packaging, and whatever else they want to
Sure.
communicate. So it is one of the most important things at the moment.
Yeah.
Because
Especially
we do
nowadays,
need to say,
yeah.
we do
There's
need
so much
to work.
emphasis.
Yeah, we do need to work, and bigger organizations have bigger responsibility. So
I guess the impact is higher than.
it is, and that too, they have bigger reach as well, right?
Sure.
They can outreach more than a small SME.
Right. Well, yeah.
So they can communicate a lot more as well. They have the power. So yeah, that is something
Okay.
very important.
Storytelling is a powerful tool in PR. And so basically, what tips do you have for students on crafting compelling and engaging narratives that resonate with different audiences?
I think read a lot, write a lot. Drama would be a good thing. You know, if you've been in drama in school, then you've learned how different pitch, pace, how you narrate a story, how you deliver a dialogue, which is very important because that's what you're going to use to
Sure.
counsel your client eventually, right? You're going to train them. You're going to train them in how to speak in front of media, how to speak in front of their peers or whoever their audience is. I cannot emphasize enough, you must study a language. Everything else will come from logic, because if you're logic driven, it'll all just flow. But language is an art, and it's a skill that is acquired. Not everyone has it. So if you learn how to read and write properly, and there are different types of writing, we pick up different types of books, right? So I think it'll be nice to get exposed to all of that, including like a course on journalism, you know, and not all of these things are very, they're not lengthy courses. There are a lot of short courses available in the world. And so it's nice to have that introduction to it. Can I write? Can I read? Do I
Sure.
have that interest? And can I speak like this? Because as much as we are counseling our clients to do the right thing, we're also presenting to them our ideas. So we need to be good orators as well. We need to speak well as well. So yeah, I think communication is the key.
Do you have any personal advice as to what skills or qualifications are necessary to succeed in your position? We just mentioned communication.
Yeah, so to keep it simple, writing skills, and I'd say media relations, which is what your network is about. And networking is, again, a skill or a practice one must follow in any industry. It is, yes, your degree and your skills make you who you are, but your network will take you to the next level.
Okay.
If you have the right network, so in public relations, as one of the simplest tasks, or the ask rather, from a client is, can you talk about my product with the media? Can you tell the media that I have launched a new product, which is anything, right? If I don't have good relations with the media, I'm not going to be able to
So I guess connections are vital then.
Network, that's what it is. It's very important. So, you know, in this day and age when publishing houses are skimming down or digital sites are becoming big, I think the human connection is so important.
How would you advise people to make those connections though? Because it can't be easy.
No,
Really?
it's not. No, it's easier in the sense, it's easier to connect on LinkedIn. It's easier to connect on other social media platforms.
But
why
that's
not
such a strong bond where you can actually utilize
You
them
need to
to-
be friends. You need to be friends. You need to love what you do. This is your life. This is your work, right? So you need them to perform better. So go meet them. Nobody goes and meets them, you know. This used to be, if you asked me 20 years back, this was a weekly activity that my agency demanded I do. So we'd go to different publishing houses, like in the UAE you have ITP, then you have Motivate. So you go to these houses and you go and meet the different people and you take them out for coffee, you introduce yourself, you build the relation, and then you become friends with them. Not forcefully, but there is a human connection. Some you'll connect more, some you'll connect less. You know, so I think networking, and that's going to help you also when you have your own agency or when you want to bring clients.
I think it helps in any time.
Any industry at all.
Are internships or projects something that you would recommend for students to gain some practical experience in your sector? And do you think it would be a worthwhile advantage over other students?
Absolutely. internships honestly are like a crash course in any profession. So not just in PR, you must do multiple internships. And if you are keen in the world of communications already, you're like, this is all I want to do, I just want to figure out, then you must do internships. They will help you a lot. They will give you the edge, because then you can be a little bit more specific about the kind of course you would do.
Sure. And also well prepared for it as well.
Yeah, because for example, if you go in and you're like, I don't really like writing, but I need to do it, then you need to do the writing course.
Yeah.
And if writing is coming to you naturally, and you're like, look, I need to learn all the processes, how to think logically, then you do your degree accordingly. So yes, it's going to drive you to know which way to go and what to pick up your degree in. So internships are very important. Before and during your degree, and after even, so that you can be even more certain of what you want to do.
Got it. In addition, do you recommend your field of work to students? And in the future, do you think it is a market that will grow or decline?
Yeah, people and clients and companies, they're always going to want to communicate. Maybe the platforms will change, but communications is always going to be there. I mean, at the moment, from print, a lot has moved on to the digital platforms. People read less magazines and they're on the digital magazines on their phone. Yeah. So that is a shift, but the fundamental of communications is never going to go away. And even traditional PR, actually, it'll never go away. Printing will never be out of business, no matter what you say. It may reduce, but you're still going to have a newspaper on a flight or somewhere, and you are going to have a magazine somewhere to read. So.
You don't think that online magazines will replace the printed versions?
They have replaced, but they will not completely replace.
Okay.
I think there is something about a hardcover, looking at,
of course,
whether you pick up an interiors magazine or a business magazine and you're reading something about.
I think it's a lot more stimulating as well.
It is, and
it's
a powerful feeling to touch it and see someone in it and see them full spread, than looking at them in an iPhone, which is so small, the screen. I mean, there is something about it. Yeah.
If you were to start your career over again, is there anything that you would change, and would you stay in the same sector?
So if I had to start my career over again, I would definitely do a dedicated writing course in England. I think that itself would change probably my course.
Maybe streamlined your process to reach.
Yeah, probably. I don't think writing is one of my. I mean, no one else will notice it, but I think I can be better at it.
Okay.
Or I want to learn different styles. Of course, I've learned everything on the job, and I've never had anyone complain. But I think just for knowledge's sake, I wish I had learned it in an academic degree.
Okay.
Some kind of formal way of learning it. So that's what would have changed the career that I have today. But would I stay in the same sector as of today? Maybe. If I had to stay in PR, I would specialize in wellness PR.
Okay.
But if I could start completely all over again, it would be wellness, everything to do with wellness. But I didn't know anything about wellness at 20, so it didn't sound interesting, but I don't know how it would be, So if I had to start in 2023, it would be wellness.
Okay. Moving on from the past, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time in the future?
Oh, I'm really hoping for an early retirement. So 10 years is too far away. I'm hoping another 5 years or 6 years. Other than that, I think I would be... So I do support like I mentioned earlier, I do oversee and support my husband's many businesses, communication. So I think I would not just be overseeing it, I probably would be leading it. I'm not sure if I would continue to be in the agency world for that long.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that languages are extremely valuable, but as automation and artificial intelligence continue to influence industries, how do you see these advancements affecting the PR landscape?
I think it's really helping, because sometimes you get good, it helps with desktop research. And even if you're thinking, even if we talk openly about ChatGPT, I'm sure there are a lot of PR professionals who use it because it's an easy skill, right? So if you put in there, can you tell me 5 objectives for an FMCG client that is important for them to succeed, or anything like that. I'm just saying things now. But whatever I would get from there, I don't think it's going to be of the quality that can be shared. with a client or with management C-suite level, you still have to know your client and understand them and their needs. Something like a ChatGPT will give you 5 words which need to be then really...
It needs to be transformed into something.
Absolutely. So yes, it helps, because instead of going into Word document and looking for the synonym for it, I've just got it for you. Yeah. So it helps with the desktop research. It can give you a kickstart, but it can't give you you need a human.
Do you think it'll
being.
ever reach that level?
No, I think you always need humans.
Okay.
You're going to need people to do it right. Yeah, you're going to
Fair enough, yeah.
To add that touch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And lastly, do you think you could share any resources or organizations that students can explore to learn more about your industry?
I'd say certain industry magazines in the UAE like Campaign Middle East, Communicate, I think they're really good. I also think doing just some desktop research about the top PR campaigns across the world, just the way you would do about advertising, right?
Sure,
and you'd get a list. I think reading about that, talking to people. I haven't gone and actually looked for anything because I'm in it. But I think these would be the starting point. And again, even just something as simple as course overviews. What do they teach? And that'll be a starting point, right? If you want to do a degree, check at what are they teaching, what are the different modules, and then you will just so easily Google search that. What does this mean? That takes you to another thing, and then you go deeper and you'll go deeper. So there you go. AI is going to help you understand it, and then you will speak to someone like me and understand it better.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Ms. Aidasani. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all we have for today's podcast, ladies and gentlemen. A big thank you once again to Ms. Aidasani for agreeing to be a part of this podcast. And until next time, this is the Switched On Podcast.